they're gonna, bump out in the back. My bedroom window's right there, I'm gonna look right into their bedroom window, and they, kind of played with.
They
Place
moved
the
it
things.
through,
Yeah.
like,
So it's just-
out to here.
Right. So there was the ability to participate in the design conversation of how that's gonna impact their neighborhood, they weren't necessarily objecting.
You couldn't stop
But
the,
I think that's what we're looking for here, right? If we want to know if the neighbor has plans to build, if we want to work around with the placement of the solar system, the solar energy system.
If we have that ability, which it sounds like we do, okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, for most of these communities, it was protecting the access to the sunlight. As you said downtown, sorry if you were in the Shorewood tower and then University Club put up their tower, there goes your view, or now the NML is kind of more of a view. That's different, but apparently a lot of them, the access to the sunlight has an overriding interest versus your neighbor's desire to put a two-story addition on the back of their house. And so
Is it different, Attorney Bear?
that's
Well,
what these
for
communities are saying.
energy purposes, that's what the problem versus Marin seems to say, is it's aesthetic, too bad. You got no recourse. But in terms of using it for energy purposes, they looked at that a little bit differently. But again, I think that because they're talking about a case-by-case approach, if you built in a commercial district, knowing that, at any time, that, the limit, say, if it's 10 stories or whatever, and you just happen to not have anything next to you, well, I think that would probably, the court would say, look, you knew that, the zoning here was 10 stories, it's a commercial district, there's been development, buildings torn down and rebuilt all in this area, and they're all, almost all of them are 10 stories. Too bad, you can't stick your head in the sand. That's probably a determination on that case-by-case basis. And again, this is probably something that probably won't, you're talking about a minute percentage of cases where this is even going to potentially come up. But again, it's there, so I just want you to have the knowledge of it as you move forward through this process.
Commissioner Patel and then Commissioner Menta.
well, I was just gonna say, that I thought you said that it would have to constitute a nuisance. I think like if you were within your right to build your dormer, I don't think it would constitute a nuisance. I think nuisance would be outside of the regulations in the first instance, right?
Well,
Or how do they define nuisance?
here is, keep in mind that the question that was presented to them is whether an owner of a solar heated residence states a claim upon which relief can be granted when he asserts that his neighbor's proposed construction of a residence, which did conform to the existing deed restrictions and all local ordinances, interferes with his access to an unobstructed path of sunlight across the neighbor's property.
So it could constitute a nuisance.
It's possible.
How they didn't define nuisance though?
Well, there's about 12 different criteria that you have to apply, and they didn't address that. They sent it back to the circuit court to analyze that. They punted it, which is what the Supreme Court does a lot. They say, well, here's the general concept, and then they kick it back to circuit court for the final decision. But all of the other future courts, Court of Appeals and Circuit Court, that address that issue will have to, they'll look to the Providence Moretti case as the starting point that, yeah, this is possible, so we're going to have to at least entertain, we can't dismiss outright the claim of the individual with this panel, and we'll have to evaluate it on a case-by-case basis.
Commissioner Menta.
I mean, the difference here is between whether it comes as a conditional use permit to the Plan Commission or whether it's reviewed by staff. So we're limited in the restrictions we could put on in either case, extremely limited
That's right.
in any action we could take.
Absolutely.
So other than that we have a public hearing, which we don't notify neighbors about the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
So it's just if you happen to know what's on the Plan Commission agenda and see it's your neighbor's house,
It's also published in the newspaper.
I mean, we notify the public in general, but not specifically
Right.
the next door.
right, but I mean, I'm just not sure, because there's very little ability to change. I mean, and it's before, so if there's an issue like it'd be better on the house than on the garage, given the configuration of your neighbor's property, I mean, Bart, you'd be talking to them before it came here. And I mean, I just, practically speaking, I'm not sure what the real difference is.
Commissioner Kudo.
So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the objective here is to sort of fast track these, not have them come before us. We don't have to do this again and again, year after year. You know, if we are so limited both in conditional use and permitted use and restricting these things, then I don't see any problem with doing one of two things. One, just having the planning commissioner, having Bart take care of these and just put them through unless there seems to be a legitimate problem. Or two, maybe notifying the neighbors, certified mail or whatever. But, you know, what prevents us from just saying, as a village, we like renewable energy, we want these things to happen, we want to push these through as quickly as humanly possible, as long as they meet the electrical restrictions and all the other things. And ourselves, you know, and if the neighbors have a problem, sort of punt it to the courts, right? If you have a problem with what your neighbor's doing, it doesn't come to the village, it goes to the courts, and they can deal with it in whatever way that they see fit.
I was gonna say the same thing, and the only reason I waited, but Commissioner
It's a more
Miller
circuit, I don't know, but.
had suggested when permitting for solar panels first came about, or at least, you know, they came from Milwaukee, a group nonprofit, and we did a group buy. That was one of my first things I kind of listened to. They requested that the Shorewood, that the village adopt the fast track permitting that Milwaukee has. So if you actually are trying to promote something, in all my planning days, you usually lessen the regulations, and when you try to restrict something, you put more layers on it. And so I was in favor at that time, and I still am in favor of adopting the accelerated fast track permitting system. So that is one of the things that you had mentioned on that spreadsheet, and so I do want to explore that for a minute, if possible, with the commission here. I don't remember all the details, but it was easier to do group buys so that your price went down if you had the same permitting system, and Milwaukee has more expertise on their staff, meaning they have a larger staff with lots of attorneys that I'm sure they looked at what were the downfalls, and they still they were one of the first adopters here. So while we're on this topic, I'd like to just explore that for a few minutes. Do you have any details that she provided?
Yeah, here's this expedited solar permit that Erica gave us last summer.
And I will say, Milwaukee was actually mentioned in here as a community that did do a decent job in incentivizing precedent, is the wrong word, but in allowing solar installations. I don't know their application offhand. I will say also to your comment of them being a larger staff, we permit things pretty quickly anyways.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you enter our department, you get it, our building inspector probably sees it within a day or two anyways. It doesn't have to go to 3 different departments and, get lost in their office or whatever. So I'm not sure what is expected from internally versus what we would do because of
I think it was this, and I think we're doing that anyways, so I apologize. I think it was not having to go through a public hearing and go to plan commission. I think that's what we're
Right.
doing. So
and that
if there was anything else, I'm pretty sure that, because it took the weeks from like 12 to 6 or something, it sped it up. So if there was more to it, I'd love to know, but now that I remember, I think it was the public hearing. Commissioner Miller.
That meeting that you attended, that was like the first time we talked about it. I think we settled, we weren't ready to give up control yet,
Right.
but we settled on reducing the fee, recharging, and if we had a large group, we could put on the consent agenda or have a special meeting or something that was kind of our halfway measure to making it easier, but, this has come up now twice. And the only issue I've ever had is the fact that your neighbor is going to be restricted from doing a thing on their property because.
But
Yeah.
only in certain very specific ways and specific scenarios that ideally I would imagine we wouldn't do. It would end up going to the courts anyways. We wouldn't be dealing with this as a planning commission or as a planning commissioner, or planning director, pardon me. It just seems like we want as many of them as we can. We understand the importance of renewable energy.
But I think in lieu of a public hearing, settling for notification of the neighbors by the applicant or the planning department, seems like a reasonable thing to require.
Commissioner Mento.
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to amend the zoning code to change, why didn't you write all this out? I'm thinking of it myself.
I did mention earlier, this was a discussion topic, so I don't know if I was looking for a motion right here.
Well, I would just direct you to
Sure.
go ahead and do it and come back with the changing solar energy systems from conditional to permitted uses, including a provision that for neighbor notification.
Commissioner Mento.
Agreed.
I just had, however we're doing this, I just had one question of distinction. The next section is about special structures, so if you have a solar panel on like, metal struts or something, put it up at a different angle than what the roof is, does that become a special structure then, or does that still become part of the solar panel? Because one would be a conditional use yet, but the other one would be permitted.
The structure seems to push it, the structure itself would be the conditional use then, if it's a, like a parapet, what's the terminology in there? That would remain, and then the application of the solar panel itself would be permitted. But yeah, if it's on a special structure is remaining as a conditional use, so that would come to, the application of the solar panel would be irrelevant at that point, but, and those I think have greater control over anyways.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think it's good to make that distinction.
Just on that part, you've probably seen these, I think out in, where that might apply is if you look out in the country, as opposed to putting some of these on the roofs, you'll see these freestanding structures along the side of the road, and that's a totally different animal. I don't know that, my guess is the size of the lots here, probably, and the other setback requirements would probably not allow the support structure. And so it's probably a moot point in short.
Well, it's only if you have a low slope roof and you need to get up to a better angle, then all of a sudden you're putting it onto a structure to create that angle. Okay. Yeah, so it would still be a roof type.
Commissioner Miller and then Commissioner Kruger.
Would that apply more in our commercial district? Let's say, one of the larger commercial buildings on Old Capitol want to put solar panels on their flat roof, and so they need to, angle a little bit more than you would on a residential property?
I think we ran into it with the house up on Kensington, where they had a flat roof house, and they put it up on a structure. So I was just trying to figure out if that would still be a conditional use then, but for the structure, not necessarily for the panels. You're good with the panels. Just,
Good.
that's,
It's still come before us, but just for the
Yeah.
structure of how it's placed.
yeah.
But what if it's necessary for the panels to work? I think we have to approve
Well,
it.
then I think they have to make that decision whether it's the right kind of structure.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Commissioner Kudo.
I just have one before we put this to bed. Am I reading correctly that we are separating now the solar from wind? That
That's my question too.
wind
That's my question.
continues to be conditional as well as solar is permitted?
Why is that? I just wasn't here for the initial conversations.
Well, I think it's not we want to put a windmill up, you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro separating them.
Energy though, is a windmill, like is that, there's no other, yes.
They can have some auditory
wind tower.
content to it, right? You can hear them.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
and there's a bird.
They're very tall.
I just want
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I was reading correctly that we have split those.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
then I'm all for it, let's go.
In the history of Shorewood, have you ever known of one of those applications?
I've been here very briefly.
It hasn't applied yet.
Oh, yeah, he's had an application in his house. So is there any other, I'm just gonna throw that before we put it, is there any other energy efficiency at this point in time besides wind and solar that is addressed in our zoning code or that we know that's on the rise? I don't, I'm just
It's
not
on their
versed in that.
ground, so I don't think it's.
Okay, okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions? If not, it's not for consideration, correct? We just gave you direction to move forward.
Well, we're not going to vote on my motion.
Sorry.
I don't know if it's
I agree.
agenda that way. I don't know if it's agenda for consideration.
Well,
amended.
Are there going to be changes, do you think, or not?
Yes, well, I'll definitely incorporate the neighborhood notification, or the neighbor notification to the proposal. Yeah, it was just discussion, so I think it's a good discussion to have, and it sounds like there's general consensus, and you can always still modify the actual proposal next month through an official motion if they're gonna add or remove anything, but at least this could be a good direction to work with Nathan on drafting and cleaning up any, loose ends that we might find in either the existing or proposed ordinances, I think.
Okay, and just for sake of administrative purposes for the future, if someone wanted to make a motion and got a second and it's not for consideration, but it's more of a process of giving direction, is that okay?
Well, here, if it's just to give direction to staff, I think that's entirely appropriate because you're not taking any action on behalf of the body, like you're not implementing a policy on behalf of the body.
Okay,
You're just giving staff direction to come back with proposals. So if you want to do that just for purposes so it's clean in
Yeah.
the minutes, that's okay.
Okay.
I don't think, because again, I don't think that there's any way that anyone could say, well, you made policy decision X, but I didn't know, I didn't come to the meeting because it didn't say the